of Christ.
Almost every part of the city, whether you're following an Illuminati map or not, you're going to be running into things that Bernini did that changed the city. He transformed the city as a sculptor, as an architect, and as a city planner. There are, I think, symbols in his art because symbolism is simply a kind of visual language, which I think was more important in the time period that we're looking at in the 17th century and earlier, because still a large portion of the population could not read and could not write.
Bernini would spend the rest of his life working on styles of architecture and works of art that would allow us to glimpse a magical supernatural world beyond. Constructing a series of piazzas and roads and paths throughout the city to draw the pilgrim from one part of the city, the ancient part of the city, towards the newer part of the city. And Bernini became the great set designer of the world's most beautiful theater, the city of Rome.
But does all this blending of Christian and pagan imagery in Bernini's designs really betray him as a secret enemy of the Vatican? And if so, can all of the striking symbols evident in his art and architecture really be joined together into some grand design? A design that conceals one of the most elaborate diabolical puzzles ever conceived?
Some unknown Illuminati master sculpted 4 statues, each one a tribute to one of the fundamental elements, earth, air, fire, water, and placed the statues out in public in churches throughout Rome. Each statue held a clue pointing to the next. At the end of the path was the Church of Illumination. If you could find that, you were one of them.
In Angels and Demons, the final destination on the path of illumination is an imposing fortress that has stood guard over Rome for more than 2,000 years. It is the Castel Sant'Angelo, or the Castle of the Angel, located less than a half-mile from the Vatican. In both the novel and the film, it is portrayed as the secret headquarters of the ancient Illuminati order, a hiding place supposedly used again and again over the centuries, where they would gather close to the heart of their mortal enemy, the Catholic Church, and wait for just the right time to strike. But are there secrets really hidden behind these walls? And what significance does the castle really have to the Vatican?
This building, today known as the Castel Sant'Angelo, is a very interesting symbol of Rome's fascination with life and death and life again. Because this building started out its existence almost 2,000 years ago as a monumental tomb. This is the site where the Emperor Hadrian was buried upon his death in 137. The first transformation of this building took place during the Great Plague of Rome in 590 AD. The Archangel Michael appeared with his flaming sword aloft, and resheathing it before the eyes of the assembled, the plague ended. And so from that moment on, the building was connected with Christianity.
During the 14th century, the Catholic Church took full control of the castle, but for reasons that were more practical than religious. Because of the constant state of warfare that persisted throughout the Middle Ages, the tomb was transformed into a fortress to protect the papal elite.
It was used as a fortress because it's a huge, massive masonry that is very easily defended. And it's a great place to take refuge. It was also used as the papal treasury. So it was also a papal prison. So it's a multi-purpose building that is impressive and impregnable.
During the course of the 15th century, the popes added moats, they put in bastions, they added places for cannons, turning this into the site where he who controlled Castel Sant'Angelo would be he who controlled Rome.
During the papacy of Pope Nicholas III, an elevated passageway was constructed. Called the Passetto de Borgio, it connected the Vatican directly to the castle and offered a convenient escape route in times of trouble.
When the construction of the Castel Sant'Angelo into a fortress took place, the Passetto was linked up to the Castel Sant'Angelo on this side and then stretched all the way back to the papal palace, the apartments of the Pope on the other side.
It's a passageway, a safe passage for the popes if you will, to escape to the castle in time of need.
I mean, it's a very fortressed wall, and you can see it from the outside, and it has kind of slats in the middle, so you could peek out and have a look at where the enemy was.
On May 6, 1527, 16,000 mercenary soldiers from Germany broke through the city walls and came swarming into St. Peter's Square. Their aim was to hang Pope Clement VII with a golden noose. And Pope Clement VII was taken along the Passetto. He was taken into the Castel Sant'Angelo and protected. But the Swiss guards who smuggled him out onto that passageway gave their lives for this. 147 of his 200 guard died in that day.
But to enemies of the church, Castel Sant'Angelo represents more than a protective hideout for the papacy. It is, at times, regarded as a place of persecution.
One of the most colorful characters in the papacy, Pope Alexander VI, was the one who created the deepest and most profound prisons within the Castel Sant'Angelo to hide away many of his enemies to never be seen again. And those dark spaces, which can still be visited today, these deep prisons buried in the body of this enormous structure, begin to give the idea of a labyrinth or a lair. So between Hadrian's concentric circles as you move towards the core of this building and these dark, dank prison cells constructed by Alexander VI, the Castel Sant'Angelo lends itself to mystery and to excitement and to storytelling.
At the other end of Il Passetto lies the Vatican. Arguably more mysterious, forbidden, and rich with history than any other place on earth.
I mean, the Vatican is built on an ancient burial ground. And of course, for the Catholic Church, what's important about that place is that they say St. Peter was buried there. So when you go into the catacombs, it's a very dark, cavernous kind of place, and you see the Roman mausoleums to the old Roman families, and then you go up the stairs and you see the place where St. Peter's bones are said to be. The second tier, where the popes are buried, is open to the public. The catacombs underneath, you have to make a special appointment to go see.
The Illuminati called those four churches by the special name L'Altare della Scienza.
Sacrifice them on the altars of science, you said.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Look at this.
Another area within the Vatican is so mysterious that its very name conjures an air of the forbidden. The Vatican Secret Archives. It is here, in both the book and the film versions of Angels and Demons, that Robert Langdon finds clues that he hopes will help him solve the mystery.
The chambers are hermetic vaults. Oxygen is kept at lowest possible levels. There's a partial vacuum inside, so extended stays are not recommended. I'll be just outside the door, watching you, Mr. Langdon.
But what is actually housed within the secret archives of the Vatican? And why would access to its 52 miles of shelves be so restricted by the Roman Catholic Church?
The Vatican archives are quite simply the collection of all the historical documents that exist since the first centuries, really, of Christianity. And they are open to scholars. You can petition the Vatican and go and study the archives. There are many people who say that the Vatican doesn't allow complete access to all of the documents that are in there.
Some of the archives are simply not organized for use by the qualified public, and I think all of the Vatican archives have the 100-year rule. That is to say, they are not open to the public until 100 years has passed from the date, to protect the reputation of people who are involved in this sometimes confidential correspondence.
What we do in pastoral care of people, oftentimes, whether it's on a very small scale, one-on-one, like inside the confessional, or on a large scale, does need to be confidential to protect